Chris Christie is going to give his rah-rah NSA spying argument on Morning Joe. Let's listen.
Is Ted Cruz's position and Rand Paul's position on collecting metadata made America less safe?
Yes, and I said it at the time.
So Ted Cruz has made America less safe?
Sure he has. He went for the easy political vote at a time when, you know, it looked like it was kind of a popular thing to do. With all those dead Parisians, don't look so popular anymore.
First of all, you're already doing the spying, and it didn't prevent the terror attack. How about that? Basic logic. I know it's hard to wrap your mind around. And second of all, we already have a system that lets you spy when it makes sense to. It's called get a fucking warrant. And then thirdly, this is what people are mad about. Here are the abuses of the various surveillance agencies. UK intelligence classified journalists as terrorists so that they could spy on them and go through their personal stuff. The NSA spied on moderate Muslims as if they were terrorists. Now, there were some people who were, you know, Republican donors on the list who were spied on simply because they were Muslim. So they spied on all Muslims, moderate Muslims, because some Muslims did terrorism. There wasn't any intelligence work that went into it. It was broad, it was generalized, and I would argue it actually made it harder to find the real bad guys, because you're swimming in metadata as opposed to doing the hard work that investigators are actually supposed to do, where you get a warrant and you spy on the right people. They spied on porn habits to, quote, discredit radicalizers. So, hey, you're politically active, you're going against the grain, you disagree with the establishment, well, you might want to calm down a little bit and slow down there because we know what you're searching for on the internet. We could just release that somehow. We could leak it to a news agency, and what are you going to do? I mean, take, for example, Elliot Spitzer. Oh, yeah, that wasn't weird how his information got out. They said, oh, no, we came across his stuff when we were doing an investigation on somebody else who was going to hookers, and we had his credit card number, and we just happened to stumble across Elliot Spitzer's information. So you memorized Elliot Spitzer's credit card number? And then you just happened to stumble across him when you were investigating somebody else. And then you leaked the story. Whoops! No, I think it probably has something to do with the fact that he was called the Sheriff of Wall Street, and he went after them aggressively. So there's a way to kneecap him, leak embarrassing personal details, and yes, expose him as a hypocrite, because he was a hypocrite on the issue of prostitution. He cracked down legally on that while he was going to prostitutes. There's no defending that whatsoever. But make no mistake about it, they kneecapped him for other reasons, because he actually was the Sheriff of Wall Street. They spied on the Pope. I love that one. Candidate Obama before he was president. They spied on their love interests. It was so common that they had a name for it. It was called Love Int. Short for love intelligence. That's how they'd refer to it. And it was common, you know. Hey, what are you doing? I'm going to go grab a sandwich. Great, I'm going to spy on my ex. This is part of the culture at the NSA. And it's more about power and control than security. That's what it comes down to. The government is never going to come and take your rights and announce, all right, we are now coming to take away your rights. That would be ridiculous. They'd never do that. What they do is they mask it by saying, oh, this is all about security and stopping terrorism, and if you're a patriot, you'll allow us to search all your personal information and collect your metadata and do all that stuff. You don't want to be unpatriotic, do you? And then this is how they come and take it. And then finally, let me say this. Another aspect of this conversation that drives me crazy is that we even need to have the conversation. Because let's say for a second, throw out all the facts that show what this is really about and that show that there's been widespread abuse in the NSA with all this stuff. Throw all that out, and let's say, for argument's sake, it was perfect. The program's perfect. Hey, we're able to prevent a terror attack, and all it took was us taking away everybody's liberty. Who was it that said, give me liberty or give me death? That's right, it's one of the founding fathers. And Chris Christie famously said, you can't enjoy your liberties in a coffin. So in other words, that's quite literally the opposite of what the Founding Fathers said. Chris Christie lamented, and I quote, civil liberties extremists. But that's the point, Chris. This isn't a two-sided thing. You either believe in civil liberties or you don't believe in civil liberties. If you throw them out when the going gets tough and when it's inconvenient, then you never really believed in your value system to begin with. The whole idea is that when the going gets tough, that's when you stick to them more. And that's when you prove that you really believe in these values and these principles. So, bottom line, this isn't debatable, and that's what gets under my skin, is that the whole point of the Constitution and the whole point of you having rights is that they are rights. They're supposed to be concrete. If they weren't rights, we wouldn't have called them rights. We would have called them permits. So you have permission, derived from the word permission. We are giving you permission to have privacy, to say what you want. No, it's in the Constitution. It's called the Bill of Rights, which means that the government cannot take it away. They can't take it away. So that's the point. Even if the program did work, which it doesn't, you'd still have to say, hey, it is what it is. You know, this is our country. This is our government. This is the way the system works. You don't take away freedom of speech when it's inconvenient because somebody said something you don't like, and you don't take away people's privacy rights and protection from unreasonable search and seizure because you feel like it. You're not allowed to do that. That's the whole point of the system in the United States of America. So Christie, ironically, as he accuses others of being un-American, he's acting un-American.